remove the window from the Mercy Hospital. Yeah, I mean, those are things that can happen. Extraterrestrial beings can do cool stuff. They can do materializations, apports. Did artists paint these independently? Paul Can asks. Obviously, yes. So yeah, I believe that as disclosure happens, we're getting closer to the idea that most of the UFOs visiting us are positive. When we looked at Sergeant Clifford Stone and the UFO crash retrievals that he was doing, they were human-looking beings inside, for the most part, the Heinz 57. These would be your Confederation sources. Again, the Law of One says there's 53 positive civilizations that are all helping us. Angelic beings are very real. And again, over and over again, you see these bell-shaped craft, UFO craft, connected to Jesus. So this is what helps me cope with the intense stress of these difficult times. Knowing that these beings exist, knowing that they love us more than we can imagine, knowing that they have our higher consciousness in mind, that's what powers me through very depressing things like the advent of war. Let's just pray again. We will do that in a minute here, that the war is not going to expand too much. And I want to also point out that the more we know, the less we understand. It's like, okay, we do know that these UFOs are here, but we don't really know a whole lot. We don't really know, like, their names, what planets they're from. So the whole scope of what we could know is going to expand, and with that comes humility. We're going to have more humility as we realize that there's a lot that we don't understand, and that we shouldn't be so arrogant as to assume, oh yeah, that's all swamp gas. This has all been debunked. None of this is real. By the way, donation came in, a red one, $100. Thank you very much. This is just a projection. Thank you for everything, David. Your books and broadcasts are a revelation. That's right. It's almost like going to church, you know, getting to see these illustrations, and so many of them are Christian. It's beautiful stuff. The more we know, the less we understand. So I want you to remember that, you know, there's going to be a lot to learn. And as we get more and more layers of disclosure, I'm ready to learn new things. I'm ready for releases of information that change the picture. But like I said, they've told us that spheres exist, flying spheres exist. And we see flying spheres in that image of the goddess of luck from 1338. We saw that gold sphere. We saw the spheres in the woodcuts over Scandinavia, these battles in the sky. Now we find out, yep, spheres are one of the ones that are being modern disclosure tracking of those. It's fascinating how all these pieces connect. And we will learn a lot more. So we really don't know everything, and I'm open-minded about it. Where is this going to go? What are we going to learn as time goes on? We also want to remember that many people are living in a spiritual arrogance. They really do have a know-it-all complex. They think they know everything. And it's like, no, you know, we're actually not as wise as we think we are. There's so much to know that we don't know. And we got to remember that. Drop the spiritual arrogance and get into a consciousness of you know, hope and expectation about what we can learn. So religious people and scientists are going to be those who are the most affected by this. That's what we've always heard. Most people can handle it, but the scientists are going to have a really hard time. And the religious people are going to have a really hard time. We'll help them. And this artwork is a big bridge for that. So we're going to need to make room for a much bigger paradigm. And that's where, especially, again, religious people, scientists are going to have to go through this learning curve about, yep, there's a lot of stuff that you thought you knew, and it turns out that it's very different. Another thing that disclosure is going to bring us is this concept that life is far more precious and prevalent than we thought. We are actually being watched over by celestial beings. They're doing what we can do. Flying St. Joseph of Cupertino, yeah, that's a great example. The beings are looking out for us. They want to help us. They've always been there. Thank you guys again so much for the donations. I really appreciate that. No, I mean, come on. The donations that I got, somebody just trolled me, but the donations that I got are not even enough for me to live off of right now. In fact, I have a lot of bills that need to be paid. So we're hoping that the deal is going to come through. We have a big deal that's pending for this coming week. It's supposed to have closed on Friday. We got one last little hurdle that we need to go through, and let's hope that it happens. But man, all the storms and the unbelievable amount of wind that we've had, and the lack of snow, the fire risk that we're still under, it's really, really crazy. Really, really crazy. Anyway, definitely not doing this for money, but the money does help. So I believe that the purpose and motive of ETs is going to become paramount. We're going to find out who and what they are and what's really going on. I don't want to see it all get taken into a negative direction. Even the most jaded individuals, once this disclosure comes out, according to what Representative Anna Luna said, they're likely going to be pleasantly surprised. And I want you to take stock of who you are, take your personal inventory, and ask yourself, how is your relationship with your higher power? What makes you different from the average person? How can you be more effective at living life to its fullest? You take that personal inventory, and it all comes back to the idea that the universe is alive. You recognize that you can heal yourself through your own willpower. You can heal yourself through learning that you're not alone, learning that we're in a living universe. John Davies, the Romanian church, looked like Sputnik. Exactly. That's interesting. Yeah. Similar. Especially the guys holding the probes. That is fascinating. You got to wonder, maybe the Russians were inspired by that art in the first place when they designed Sputnik. So the universe is alive. We are not the only game in town. Dropping our arrogance once again, connecting with our higher self,